I want to explain to you how to stop being angry using a story from Elden Ring.
You are about to sacrifice something precious. The life of a fair maiden that you would toss into the fiery forge, only so that you may be lord. What a horrible thing to ponder. Spare the poor girl and singe your own flesh in her stead. Your flesh will serve as kindling, and the girl can be spared. Burn the Erd tree to the ground and incinerate all that divides and distinguishes. Ah, may chaos take the world. May chaos take the world!
There was once a man who told a lie so damaging that when the truth came to light, his eyes were gouged out as punishment. His name was Shabiri. The lie he told falsely blamed a people known as the nomadic merchants for the origin and spread of the flame of frenzy. In actuality, it was him who started it. It was Shabiri. The flame of frenzy is one of the most terrifying and tragic forces in Elden Ring. It's not just a type of fire, it is a cosmic madness, a corrupting power born from despair, injustice, and revenge. It is madness incarnate, and it spreads not through logic or belief, but through suffering and blindness. It all began with Shabiri, a man who told a terrible lie and had his eyes gouged out as punishment. In his blindness, the flame of frenzy took root, growing from his empty sockets. Yellow eyes became known as Shabiri grapes, and frenzy began to infect the despairing world, a madness that belongs to those who have lost everything. In Elden Ring, you are a tarnished, a once exiled soul called back to seek the throne and become Elden Lord. But the path to the inside of the Erd tree is blocked by thorns, and the only way to get past them is to burn them down with sacred fire. Traditionally, the fire comes from a sacrifice. Your maiden, Melina, must burn for your sake. Her body will serve as kindling for your fire, for your dream. This is the path that you're currently taking, until you run into an old friend who you saw die. He calls himself Shabiri. He makes a compelling argument. Instead of sacrificing her for your sake, be a real man and sacrifice yourself. That way, she doesn't need to die, and you still get what you want. It's like everybody wins, it's a win-win. He speaks of another flame, a deeper flame, one that lies far beneath the capital, the frenzied flame. And if you accept it, you don't need Melina, you don't need gods, you don't need order, you will burn the world yourself. All you need to do is strip yourself of your armor and let your skin be grasped and burned by the three fingers. But this flame is not born of sacrifice or purpose, but of blind, furious madness. No matter how compelling it seems to use this frenzied flame instead of losing our maiden, instead of sacrificing her for our sake, no matter how compelling the argument seems, even our maiden wants us to burn her instead of use that. Melina tells us that the frenzied flame is not to be meddled with.
If you intend to claim the frenzied flame, I ask that you cease. It is not to be meddled with. It is chaos, devouring life and thought unending. However ruined this world has become, however mired in torment and despair, life endures. Births continue. There is beauty in that, is there not? If you would become Lord, do not deny this notion. Please, leave the frenzied flame alone.
And maybe you would have, if you'd not seen what became of the nomadic merchants. The lie that Shabiri told, that the nomadic merchants were the original inheritors of the Flame of Frenzy, when it was actually him. Well, the truth had been discovered far too late. You see the state of the nomadic merchants, locked away, imprisoned, and left to rot. They were kept isolated from the rest of the world, shunned because of their risk of spreading the frenzied flame. It's here where your anger really settles in. We've seen this happen before. There was once a great warrior and tarnished just like us, named Vike the Dragon Spear. Vike refused to burn his maiden. The whisperings of Shabiri had told him about another flame, a flame of frenzy hidden deep below the capital that could burn the thorns away. But when Vike returned from singeing his flesh with the 3 fingers, he found his maiden dead. Maybe because she felt that she no longer had any purpose. But no matter the reason, she was dead. Now Vike's vengeful spirit defends the dead maiden at the Church of Inhibition, while the real Vike kneels imprisoned in an ever jail deep within the Forbidden Lands, clad in armor clasped by the 3 fingers. So many times before us have we seen anger consume people. So many times has the spiral of death and killing been allowed to continue, simply because anger was too overpowering. This madness isn't new. A father whose daughter was killed by the slaves he helped massacre becomes consumed by hatred, until he no longer sees who is friend or foe. He just hunts everyone now. The nomadic merchants are falsely blamed for the frenzy and are hunted down, burned, imprisoned, until they too inherit the madness. Even Vike, once a hero fit to become Elden Lord, chooses the frenzied flame, hoping to spare his maiden. He ends up imprisoned, armor seared by the 3 fingers, guarding her corpse. Each of them were broken by pain, lied to, blinded by loss, and chose fire. They didn't break the cycle. They became a part of it. You too now inherit the eyes of the flame of frenzy, yellow and glowing in anger and revenge and bloodlust and fear. You divest yourself of your armor, let yourself be grasped and singed by the 3 fingers, and become the Lord of Chaos. Not even because you just wanted to spare your maiden Melina, but because you succumbed to anger, and became part of the spiral of death and killing, and spread it onto others, the same way that it was spread onto you. And so it is that an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. In real life, in the Hebrew Bible, there is a demon that lurks in uncovered water at night, and causes blindness in those who drink the water. The name of this demon is Shabiri. Shabiri is the demon of blindness. It's a haunting image. Water, the symbol of clarity in life, made dangerous and deceptive. But this isn't just a myth either. In parts of Africa, there are flies that live by the water. Certain kinds of flies that, when they bite you, when they bite a person near the water, they inject the person with millions of larvae, and these larvae tend to migrate towards the eyes. The infection can cause blindness, but more eerily, some afflicted begin to see things others cannot. I think this is where Elden Ring got the idea for the Shabiri grapes, which are literally the eyes of people who have been driven mad. In the game, the madness doesn't just make people scream and lose control, it corrupts perception. They start to see a different world, one shaped by their pain, their paranoia, their rage. They let thoughts which are only real in imagination be real outwardly. All of a sudden, their anger is not directed at any one person or any one event. It's directed at everyone now. Everyone is an enemy, and nobody can be trusted. In Elden Ring, did you know that some NPCs can't even see the big golden Erd tree in the middle of the map? The massive golden symbol towering in the sky. Only those touched by grace can see it. This tells us that in Elden Ring, not everyone sees the same reality. This reminds me of me sometimes, to be honest, where if I was in a normal state of mind, then I might not do something, or I might not say something. But because my internal anger, my internal rage was skewing my perception of things, making things more exaggerated in my mind, then I decide to choose to do something or say something that I can no longer take back. Once it is outside of my thoughts, once it has been spoken aloud, then I can no longer take it back. It belongs to the world now. And I don't mean to sound like one of those guys who, you've heard them like, I just see red, man. When I get angry, man, or when I get angry, you don't want to see me when I'm angry. You don't want to see me when I'm angry. I just see red. I just see red. I'm gonna let my inner wolf come inside of me. I'm not trying to be like that. But I think that everybody can get angry sometimes. And when you're in this elevated state of mind, when your thoughts are exaggerated and they're kind of working against you, then it's easy to say things that you don't entirely mean. Sometimes it's hard to see things clearly as they are when you're looking at things through a lens of cynicism and hatred. Once a thought leaves the mind and is spoken aloud into the world, it can't be taken back. It's just like how wisdom, once spoken aloud, belongs to the world now. That's no longer just your wisdom, it's everybody's wisdom who hears it. So what can you do? You should take this as a warning and as an invitation, not just to see how madness spreads in others, but to recognize it in yourself when you become angry. Because the frenzied flame in real life isn't some mystical flame found underground. It's that moment when you're feeling hurt and you kind of want to hurt somebody else too, so that you can share the pain with them. It's that voice in your head that says, they don't understand. Nobody understands. Fuck them all. It's that voice in your head that always goes like, fucking. It's that voice. That's the frenzied flame in real life. This whole video, this whole story about Elden Ring, this is what happens when anger is left to stir inside of you. I've been learning over the last few years that you just can't let it stir inside of you. You can't let it sit. There needs to be an outlet. My girlfriend has taught me this too, and I think that she's pretty mature actually. I remember one time I sat on a bad feeling overnight without talking about it with her when I really should have. And then the next day after that, I still felt it inside of me. I woke up and I still felt the same feeling. So I decided in the morning that I was going to share it with her. I made sure in my mind that I didn't want to tell her in a way that was accusing her. I didn't want to make her feel bad. I just wanted to let her know that I was still feeling this way. And even though I made sure to pay extra care into the delivery, it still came across in a way that was like accusing. It still came across that way. It made things worse. And it made her feel awful to hear me say it in the way that I did. Even when I was trying not to say it that way. Even when I paid extra care in my delivery, it still came out of me the way that truly it sat inside of me. In a way that's still composed. In a way that effectively takes care of it. You should divest yourself of those feelings as soon as possible. The sooner the better. And I don't mean that you should lash out at somebody immediately when they piss you off. I don't mean that. You can stop the cycle. The first step is to pause. Even just for a few seconds. Before you say something or do anything, just stop and think, am I seeing things clearly right now? In this manga called Vagabond, there's this quote that I really like. The master kind of is telling the student, if you're too preoccupied with a single leaf, then you'll miss the tree. If you're too preoccupied with a single tree, then you'll miss the entire forest. So see everything in its entirety effortlessly. Don't just focus on any one thing in particular. Take a second and ask yourself, am I seeing things clearly as they really are? Or are my thoughts elevated and exaggerated right now because I'm angry? The second step is to acknowledge the feeling without obeying it. You can be angry. You can be furious even. You're allowed to be. It's just an emotion. But don't let it steer the wheel of your life. That's when it becomes frenzy. That's when it burns things that you can't unburn. The third step is to find a place that transforms that pain. Not into rage, but into something real. Like write it down or speak it out loud. Use it to make progress towards your goals in work or in the gym. Try turning it into something good. Try using it as fuel rather than let it burn you up. Or even, like to someone you trust. Say something like, I'm feeling a lot right now. I don't want to do something that I'm gonna regret. And then that kind of gives them a preface, a warning that whatever might come out of your mouth in the next few minutes might not be totally 100% authentic you. And then it kind of gives you the freedom to say whatever you feel. And then without judgment. Because they know that you're not in a super sound state of mind. And the best part is that this feels awesome to practice. To let go of your anger in a way that's healthy. And for once not be like, fucking. When I've felt angry or bad about something, I try not to think about what I'm gonna say too much. And instead, I just let myself flow. Now this is how I live my life. Before, I would just internalize it and stew on it and let it sit inside of me, and this would ruin entire days because I let it stay inside of me like that. It would ruin entire days. But now when something bothers me, I try to get it out of me one way or another. Without lashing out, without being super angry and yelling. I mean, I feel like that's never been me anyway, but not by doing it that way. Still with some composure, a calm kind of anger. And that maybe doesn't sound as cool as destroying the incarnation of anger and hatred itself. Fighting it like an Elden Ring boss. It doesn't sound as cool when you do it my way, but my way works. It doesn't sound as cool as becoming the Lord of Chaos by choosing to completely be consumed by anger. But that's how you break the spiral of death and killing. Because anger itself isn't evil, actually. It's just an emotion, just like all other emotions. If pain is never transformed, it is transmitted. If grief turns to rage, and rage to action, and action to destruction, then history repeats over and over again. And in the name of justice, we become monsters. And in the name of love, we destroy. And in the name of freedom, we burn the world. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. The frenzied flame is not freedom. It is what happens when we can no longer see. What's bothering you lately? I want to know, have you had experience with this kind of anger that kind of blocks you from seeing things clearly and saying, it causes you to say stupid things? Because it's happened to me before too. Have you had that experience? You can let me know in the comments. If there's anything else, besides anger, besides being happy, is there anything that's bothering you lately? Like discipline, finding purpose. What specifically has been bothering you lately? Because I want to know about you guys. I want to know, what can I do to provide the most value to you? Today is May 7th, 2025. My laptop is almost out of battery, and I need to be going soon, so it's a good timing to finish up this video. That's everything I have to say today. Today. That's everything I have to say today. You guys take care, okay? See ya.